Welcome back to WTOP's Beer of the Week. We are joined as always by Greg Engert, Beer Director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes where we are, Church Key, downstairs is Birch and Barley, Golden, Brown, Delicious, and DuPont Circle. Greg, it is always good to see you.
See you too.
What is on tap this week?
So this week we have a new collaborative beer from Hardywood Park Craft Brewery in Richmond, Virginia. They've collaborated with Cigar City Brewing Company out of Tampa, Florida. To create this beer. It's called the Milkman, and kind of unsurprising based on the pedigree of both of these breweries. It is an imperial stout. It weighs in at 13.5% alcohol.
Hello.
And also it is an imperial milk stout. Recently we talked about Hardywood gingerbread stout, GBS, around the holidays. Which is also based on, not this big and massive, but based on an imperial milk stout style. So brewed with some lactose milk sugar, which adds body and a creamy slight sweetness to balance against the roast of the malt. And then for this one, it's not just an imperial milk stout, it's an imperial chocolate milk stout. So once the beer is done fermenting, they are just crushing it with fresh cocoa nibs. So it's big and complex.
I thought they had named, looking at the back, I thought they had named it after me. It says the heifer.
That's actually, it's pretty cool. They make a thing on the back of this. They're talking about combining this beer, the Milkman, with a beer that Cigar City makes, which is called the Milkmaid, which is a white milk stout using white chocolate.
I don't think the Milkman and the Milkmaid should be drinking and hanging out together.
And if you blend them, they call it the heifer.
That's just delightful. Don't taste the booze so much.
No.
Dangerous.
It's rich, though, complex on the palate. The cool thing is that even though they're using milk, lactose milk sugar here, it's not a sweet stout. I think we do call milk stouts sweet stouts a lot of times, but I think that can be misleading. This has an initial sweetness to it and some in the finish, but in the middle it dries out nicely. It definitely has a milk chocolate character in the aftertaste.
Here's an off-the-wall question. When it comes to beer collaborations, does anyone or should you ever mix two different beers and make your own collaboration at home? I mean, it made me think about it because they've got the this glass plus this glass, as you were pointing out.
Yeah.
I can't believe the answer is in the affirmative.
I think, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I have to remind myself to just to take it easy a little bit, not be so, pedantic about what you can and can't do with your beer. But I would say, a decade ago, I think we would all say, like, don't blend, because we wanted to get the craft beers the attention they deserved on their own. We were trying to get people away from, the black and tans at the bar and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't tend to take a couple beers and blend them together. That said, but it's funny because a lot of craft brewers have this label that says blend them together. It probably tastes delicious. Evil Twin, the Gypsy brewer, Jeppe Bjerkso, created two different beers called Yin and Yang, an Imperial IPA and Imperial Stout, with the intention that you would serve them together as Yin and Yang, and that would be an Imperial kind of craft brewed answer to the black and tan blend. So I guess at your own risk, I would say, blend them together.
We've talked about collaborations quite a bit, and you're familiar with them. You've done
our first one was done with Cigar City, actually.
Blue Jacket's done a number of collaborations.
Yeah.
Do you just, Hardywood Park calls up Cigar City and says, "Hey, will you be my Valentine? And then let's get together." And is that basically how it works, or?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how it works. I think it happens in many different ways. I think these guys, the cool thing in this case is that these guys have done collaborations together. They have a relationship. They have for some time, and they actually, many of their beers kind of overlap. They love using culinary ingredients. They love making big, huge beers. So I think, it makes sense philosophically. They've been friends for a long time. And so I think this is like at least the second, maybe more collaborations they've done together. I think sometimes though, like just to be honest about it though, I think a lot of times it's not as if the two brewers, well, first of all, it's not as if each brewery only has one brewer. Like I know for a fact, this beer was brewed at Hardywood Park, and Justin Anderson, who's one of the brewers there, he's actually a local guy. He's from Woodbridge, Virginia originally, and a great guy. He designed a good portion of this recipe. So I think in this case, in many cases, it's more of like a theoretical, what do you want to do? And then the home brewer says, what do you guys think of this recipe? Sends it out, which has a lot to do with the way Hardywood would do it. Cigar City guys probably take a look and say, oh, maybe we should tweak this or that, and come out at the end. But I do think, in general, somebody says, I guarantee what happened was somebody said, you know how we make the Milkmaid? You guys should make the Milkman, and then it went from there.
And obviously, depending on how the initial collaboration goes, that will depend on whether, or that will determine whether
what happens next,
whether there are more collaborations.
Totally.
What would you pair this with?
So I mean, it's old hat to talk about these things. It's like they're just desserts, and that's just have it with dessert or dessert in a glass and stuff like that. But what I find recently, especially with imperial stouts, is that those cocoa flavors, and in this case, the big, huge milk chocolate flavors, can work with savory stuff. I've been fascinated by the idea of like pairing big, strong cheeses with chocolate for a long time. So not your favorite, but some do like blue cheese. So we can do.
No, I like blue cheese. It's goat cheese.
Goat cheese, right?
I know. Yeah.
Well then, all right, then pull a seat up to the bar and you can have this with that, because blue cheese has got that big richness, which is great with chocolate. So you can do blue cheese on its own. We do like black and blue cheese burgers. Also, just a grilled cheese with really sharp cheddar is awesome. A lot of times chocolate will pull the fruity qualities out of the cheese, and they both have a dryness to them that works. And then honestly, anything that is covered in Parmesan cheese, because that's nice and sharp too. So think of like a lot of Alfredo sauces, but carbonara, with like the pancetta, salt, parm over the top, would be delicious with us.
You were telling me about having barbecue recently in Austin, Texas. Barbecue?
I think a barbecue could work. In some ways, though, like it depends what kind. I will say that I could go on and like about barbecue. I've been thinking about a lot of recently, because we try to, just like with beers, we try to categorize like this is North Carolina, this is Texas. But when in Austin, you'll get Texas barbecue that can be served with an acidic sauce you might expect with North Carolina. So I wouldn't do this with too much acidity. And then if you have a sauce that's too sweet, it might not work. A dry rub would be awesome with us.
All right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.